Hey everyone, welcome to Game Hero. For today's video, I'm just going to give my overall impressions for Ubisoft's For Honor's closed beta that was available over the weekend. I put in about 12 hours or so I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how the game is going to look on release. So if you're on the fence about picking up the game, or we're just hoping to see a little more gameplay, then hopefully this video can help you make up your mind. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about are the graphics. Overall, it is a great looking game, but there's not really a particular feature that will wow you on its own anyway. It's a perfect example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. To get a little more specific, as for the textures, the thick cloth and hair textures are very similar to The Witcher 3's, which is not a knock in any way. As anybody who's played The Witcher 3 knows, it is a gorgeous game. As for the environments, they are, again, great looking, highly detailed, and they're complemented very well by the very well done weather effects like snow, rain, and especially the sun and its refracting effects. And another part of the graphics are the movement and animations. The player and AI movement is very fluid and very believable. I'd be very surprised if motion capture was not used. Especially the execution animations are very brutal, but again, very fluid and well done. You've probably seen in a lot of the gameplay footage from E3, for example, charging into battle with all of your troops at the beginning of one of the Dominion matches, which is the 4 vs 4 match. It looks very awesome, epic. I always harken back to Braveheart. It's exactly what it feels like when I'm playing anyway. But to get into the real meat, we got to get into the most important part of the game, the gameplay. Hero versus hero fights, which is what you play as, or heroes, can seem overly simple at first, but actually contain a lot of depth once you learn the nuances. Fans of Dark Souls multiplayer especially will appreciate the deliberate and very calculated style of combat. But this, for any non-fans of Dark Souls, this shouldn't scare you off, as it's much more accessible while not being oversimplified, and it retains a surprising amount of depth. Once you get the hang of things, or even just used to a single hero, you'll be able to take on multiple opponents at the same time. 1 vs 2 and 1 vs 3 battles are not only possible, but once you get good enough, can be done not easily, but can be done semi-frequently, and I gotta tell you, they are exhilarating. At the end of a 1 vs 3 fight, especially the ones that you win, my heart was absolutely pounding, just like, reminded me of fighting a boss from a Dark Souls game. Another important part of the gameplay is the character selection. You've no doubt seen from maybe the E3 or any other trailer that the game is based on 3 different factions fighting each other. They're the Vikings, the Samurai, and the Knights. Each faction has 3 different heroes, which are more or less heavy, medium, and light version, though that's oversimplifying a little bit, as each hero has their own movesets and weapons specific to them. As for maps and game modes, there are currently, as of the beta anyway, 3 game modes, which are Duel, Brawl, and Dominion. Each takes place in a bigger map than the last, and each is a larger fight than the last. So Duel is a 1 vs 1 match, Brawl is a 2 vs 2, and Dominion is 4 heroes plus dozens of foot soldiers, which are very easy to kill, but they add just enough to the game mode to differentiate from the two and make it not feel just like a retread. All environments have different traps and ledges that can be used to the player's advantage. If you happen to throw or kick an opponent off of the ledge, a high enough ledge anyway, it is an instant kill. And there is one map in particular, as of the beta anyway, that had an actual spike trap that, if activated at the right time, again, is an instant kill. It adds just enough to combat without feeling cheap. For all you Battlefield fans out there, you will no doubt recognize Dominion, as it's basically Conquest from the Battlefield games, but the difference being points can be taken back from your opponent, turning to sudden death for whichever team lets their opponent get to 1,000 points first. Dominion mode is my personal favorite. It was incredibly fun, mostly because the match is virtually never over. I was personally in a match that we came back and won down 200 to 1,000. So next up, I want to get to my complaints, which are few, and I assume they will most likely be fixed in time for release. The first of which is my hero getting stuck on the environment, which happened on more than a few occasions and was incredibly frustrating, as every time it happened, without fail, resulted in a quick and untimely death. And another problem is the stun lock. For all you Dark Souls fans out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is definitely a problem as of the beta. Very frustrating, and it's just too easy to get stuck in one of those stun locks, especially up against a wall. And related to the stun lock is unblockable moves, and each hero has their own specific move set, as I mentioned before, with each hero having their own unblockable move set. Now these are just too easy to use, and like I said, related to stun lock, as they can repeatedly do these unblockable moves, lock you up against a wall repeatedly with a stun lock, and you have no chance of surviving. Very frustrating. I just think that there's not enough risk versus reward as far as the unblockable moves. So in summary, I personally think that the game is worth buying if you're a fan of sword fighting games like Dark Souls, for example, or you just want a challenge, or even if you're just a fan of tense multiplayer games. And while there are a few minor issues as of the beta, and we have no idea how the campaign's going to look on release, just going off of the multiplayer, the game was fun and seems to have enough to offer to justify a purchase. If after this video you're still on the fence though, there is an open beta between the 9th and the 12th of this month if you'd like to get some hands-on time before making a decision. I'll leave a link to the sign-up page in the description box below. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. That'll do it for this video. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate if you could take the time to give a thumbs up, as it would really help me out a lot. And if you want to see more videos like this one, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out. But anyway, thanks again, and I hope to see you on the next one.